Let's see how effectively managing your address book can help you spend more time focus on just doing law. We access the address book through the home page on eXpd8. There's a big button saying address book. In clicking into it, imagine you're opening a hard copy address book, at the front of which we're going to capture all of our clients. A client by definition is somebody who's going to pay you money, and at the back we're going to access contacts. Notice here how we switch between the two. In our address book, let's look for an existing client. Now let's look at how we can access the address book another way, through our shortcut. In clicking on this, notice how the layout of the page is different, but if I search for the same information, John, I get the same data returned. Personally, I prefer the shortcut to the address book. I like the layout and I like the ABCs down the side and the fact that it gives us a preview down the bottom. But mostly I like the fact that I can minimize this page and call it back up as needed. Let's open up this client and see. You'll notice how we have a separate field to capture every piece of data on the client. There's a good reason for this. Later on we'll be looking at how we can merge all of these fields separately into documents you will have designed yourself. Notice here in criteria there's another little feature. You can enter data and use it to filter clients on. But do be aware, because it's a free text field, you have to be pretty accurate in what you're typing on if you want it returned in your search. Key documents relate to client verification, methods that you use to verify the fact that this client is who he says he is. Whether it's a copy of his driver's license or a utility bill, you can attach these to the client. In clicking on it, you get to see the document again. Once you've determined that you are happy this client is who they say they are, you can verify them or validate them. Pop in your password and they'll be validated successfully. Wills and deeds can be captured against each client. You can have a record of these which you can report on. You can have multiple deeds on a client, but only one current will. Client, hit the Add button on the top toolbar. Fill in as many of the data fields as you have information for, and be conscious of going back and filling the rest when you have that information. When we click to save our client, it's going to prompt us to do a conflict check. There's two reasons we would do this. Firstly, to see if we've acted on behalf of the other party, and secondly, to ensure that we're not double entering the same data over and over again. When I have a possible conflict check, go and search and see, is it a real conflict? Have we acted on behalf of the other party? If we haven't, then you can go back and proceed with saving the client you were going to enter. Now if we search for a client called Smythe, we expect to find two entries. Let's look further at this John. If I single click his name and from the top toolbar click Update, it opens up his details. If I click his name and click Files, I get to see all the files he's currently connected to. There are only open ones in this case. I can use this as a shortcut, a way to jump into the file. Think of it like this. You have a client, you enter him in your address book. Over time he might give you conveyancing files, he might give you employment matters, he might give you a probate matter to deal with. But there's only ever one client in the address book. He's connected to these different matters. There's only one place to update his details if he moves, if he changes his mobile number. And where will you find him when it comes to a file? On the Contacts or People page. In clicking in here, notice down the bottom of his details, it shows us all of the other files he's connected to. Opening the client up from within the file is no different than opening them up in the address book. Let's go back to the address book again. Let's say we want to add in another Smythe. First we'll check that they're not there. Let's say we're going to look at different client types this time. What if it's a couple? Enter their title as Mr. and Mrs. and enter in the first name field both first names. What if we had another type of client? What if we had somebody or a couple where they weren't married? I would have you enter on the first name field the total name for one of them with an ampersand, and on the surname field the full name for the other party. Let's look at contacts now. So we'll click into the back area of the address book, which is into contacts. There's something different we have here, and that is the facility to organize people by the nature of their relationship with us. This is a drop-down list you have control over, and you can set up what you want in there. If I'm searching for Scotland, notice how it brought me up Bank of Scotland. I got to search by any part of the first name, surname, or company name. Let's look at adding a contact to the address book. Here we get to choose what type they are to us. Let's say insurance company this time. Sometimes it's not a person you want to reference in your address book, sometimes it's a company. So you can go right ahead and just enter data into the company line field. Add in the address or all the information you've got for them, and then let's save them. Now in the address book, let's go and locate them again. And this time we can choose them, and on the top toolbar say Files. What files are they connected to? None, hardly surprising. But we can create a link from in here in the address book by searching for a file and connecting them to it. And then, in looking at their files, we can use that as a way to jump into that. This is what we want to see, a build-up on the contacts or people page of the file of everybody who's got any bearing on the matter. You don't want to have to go search other places. If I want some details about my client, I simply single-click him, his details appear on the right. A double-click will open up his full details. If I need to reference the insurance company, I can open up their details. There's another benefit, aside from just having easy access. Once people are on the contacts or people page of your file, we then have the facility to merge their data, like their name and address, etc., into the documents that we will be creating on those files. That's an important one, and covered in another video. So, what is key in managing the address book? Make sure you have the correct client and contact details on your file. Don't waste your time or anybody else's having to look anywhere else. Keep your database clean. Avoid duplicate data entries.